4D Poison Apple Spinner Gel Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing a design that was very requested, not because of the design itself, but because it is a 4D or a 3D design with Polygel. And I know that back when I posted my Polygel thoughts back when, a year ago, which if you're interested in that, I'll put a link to that in the description box below. But this design was requested, so many times, just to do a design that was 3D with Polygel. So here it is. I hope you guys like it. It's a 3D spinner poison apple from Snow White that's got some duochrome powder on it, and it's also got some glitter in it from Beauty Big Bang in the regular part of the nail. I wanted to keep it fairly simple as far as the design goes and not have it be like super overly, painted and crazy. I wanted to keep it kind of simple just to really show off the Polygel. So I hope you guys like it, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. So to start with, here are those glitters that I said that I mentioned from Beauty Big Bang. It's a gorgeous, very chunky gold, green, pink mix, which I thought really went with the poison apple. It just kind of looked like that would be appropriate. So now to start the apple, I'm going to glue a little sand or a little glass bead to the end of a dotting tool. Make sure it's that really sharp dotting tool. And then I'm going to be grabbing some Polygel. So I'm going to squeeze the tube, cut it off, and then roll that onto that bead that's on there. And as I know it's off camera, so I apologize. But as you're putting the Polygel on, it kind of stretches. So I was able to wrap it around in a little circle. And then with a gel brush, and that's really filled with that slip solution, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to start sculpting it into that nice apple shape. And with the Polygel, you have as much time as you could possibly want to sculpt it, because it's not really going to move on you unless you move it, and it's not going to dry until you are ready to dry it. So you can kind of take your time and not feel too rushed or stressed about it. But once you are happy with the shape, go ahead and cure that. Then with some white gel paint, you're going to want to paint the little drippy skull poison that's going down it, that after it gets dunked in the cauldron. So you want to make sure that you leave the eyes and the nose empty from the skull as best you can. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But then drip that white gel paint down the nail, cure that again, and then burnish in some duochrome powder into the white gel paint. That white will come through and keep it a little bit lighter and brighter, but it will definitely have that color shift that you are going for. And then after you have that done, and the other thing I want to mention quick is while you're curing this, both the white gel paint and the Polygel, spin the dotting tool while it's in the light so that it gets cured from all angles. Dust off the extra duochrome powder from your little skull, and then with some red paint, go through and paint everything else on the skull. So fill in the eyes, fill in around the bottom of it, fill in the nose. The reason I didn't paint it first and then apply the white gel and continue on is because I wanted to be able to use the red paint and fill in, just in case your skull gets a little askew. You can do it this way. You can always add more, but I figured, save a step. But if you wanted to, you could have painted your little apple first and then added the skull going around it. Really, either way works. Then with black paint, add a little bit of an outline around all of the lines between between the duochrome and the red. Then apply a layer of gel sealer over the top of the whole thing and cure it. One thing you do want to make sure that you are paying attention to throughout the whole thing is keeping a hole going all the way through the entire apple. So just keep that in the back of your head as you're working on it. So then have a head pin and string your little apple over the head pin. Cut off any extra, glue the end of it to the nail. Make sure you don't get any glue on your spinner because then it won't spin. And then with some Polygel, I'm going to create a very thin layer of gel going over the top of just the wire, essentially just in that middle section of the nail, so it's smooth, because the wire creates that nice little ridge in the center and your glitter won't lay flat, and that's the next thing you're going to do. So add that little layer of gel going over the top of that just to smooth it out, cure it, and then apply a layer of gel sealer over the entire nail for your little glitters to attach to. Then I'm just going to pour them over and make sure you have something underneath it so that you're saving your glitter. So I just have a little plastic cup under there so that I can catch any glitter that goes falling. Use a gloved hand to press the little glitter pieces into that gel sealer, cure it again, and then add some more Polygel over the top of the nail and encase the glitter. The one thing about Polygel versus builder gel or acrylic is that the Polygel, this one that I'm using, is their natural, and that, as far as I know, at least it was when I bought it, is the clearest one. And it's not completely clear. It has a very, kind of foggy overtone to it. So it's not going to show your glitter off with as much clarity as something else would. That being said, it does have a pretty cool effect with the glitter underneath it. It looks a little bit softer. So it's kind of optional, you know, depending on how if you like the look or not. After that's done, cure that again, and then with a pretty fine bit, you're going to want to file the nail into shape. And make sure your e-file is not on too high either, because the polygel files so quickly, you're going to remove product way too fast. If you have a coarse bit on a high speed, it's just going to be gone. So just keep that in mind that you don't overfile it. And then with black paint, I'm going to be writing just one bite. So this part you could skip. I just thought I wanted it to have another little evil element to it. So I wanted to write something like that on it. So I started out with the black paint, like I said. So there's the just, and then underneath that, I'm going to write one. And whenever I do words on a nail, I like to kind of pay attention to the center of the word and start there and then work my way out. So for just, I started with the S just to the side of center and then added the T after it and the UJ before it. With the word one, it's a 3-letter word, so the N is in the very center, so do that in the middle. And then underneath it with bite, same thing as just, you're going to start with the T just to the side of center, add the E afterwards, and then go back and before it add IB. And the other thing when you're painting, it's sometimes hard to get away from your own handwriting when you're adding words, so it is sometimes helpful to not write your word in the way that you would write it normally, with starting with the first letter and going forwards, because you kind of let your own handwriting influence what you're trying to do, especially if you're working on a logo or something that's a different font than you normally write with. It helps to sort of mess up the order of things, because it'll make you slow down and really pay attention to what you're doing so that you're writing it the way that you want to, not the way that you normally would. And then with white gel paint, I'm going to be adding a very thin little line inside each of the letters, trying to leave as much of a black outline as possible. So I'm trying to make this line as thin as it possibly can be. But with the gel paint that I'm using, it does have a much thicker consistency than acrylic paint does, so making the thin lines can be a little bit more challenging. After you have all of that on, go ahead and cure that, and then burnish the same duochrome powder that's on your little apple into that. After that's done, apply a layer of gel sealer, and that is it. I love the way this turned out. This is the first time I've ever used polygel to do anything besides just an overlay. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and don't forget to share recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!